Hello, I'm Gator McKlusky. Welcome to my new series focused on classic film commentaries. Over 20 years ago, when DVDs first started coming out, one of the great features for film fanatics like myself were the alternate audio tracks dedicated to commentaries. They kind of brought me into the making of the film. Sometimes directors, actors, even screenwriters can really add enormous insight to the movies we love. So with the success of streaming films on services like Netflix and Amazon Prime, the lost art of commentaries have not yet found a platform outside of old school discs that have really gone the way of the 8-track tape, the record album, and the CD. DVDs and Blu-rays are now for purists, but most of you out there just stick to streaming media. So here will be my platform for sharing some of my favorite film commentaries. Now keep in mind, these videos will be designed for audio and there's not much to see as I can't show you the actual film in its entirety. But I'll try to present a professional looking backdrop with quality still images from the film to help keep the story going. Ideally, you would listen while doing other things and maybe perhaps resting on the couch, imagining the film and things described by our talented commentators. Or perhaps you can line up your version of the film and play it along with this video to further enhance your experience. Anyway, I hope this series is enjoyable for you. So sit back and enjoy our next feature presentation. In 1980, director Hal Needham and producer Al Ruddy somehow brought the wildly entertaining film The Cannonball Run to the big screen, bringing together some of the biggest stars in the world for this action comedy inspired by an actual event. The ultimate cross-country car race from sea to shining sea, anything goes for this very much illegal competition that has since grown a cult following, not only as a movie, but the race itself that continues to this day. Once they got Burt Reynolds to agree to star, he was joined by the great Roger Moore, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Farrah Fawcett, Dom DeLuise, Jackie Chan in his first American film, Jamie Farr, Peter Fonda, Jack Elam, the list goes on. Hal and Al Ruddy take us inside the making of this film during this amazing conversation. So let's sit back and enjoy this commentary from the comedy classic, The Cannonball Run.
Now, this is funny, Needham.
I know. You know, when I worked over at Universal, I took their logo and had Burt's car running around
On Smokey?
On Smokey and the Bandit playing fun and games with their logo. So I figured, what the hell, might as well do it with the Fox, too. So anyway, it always gets a chuckle.
Well, this was something they railed about initially. They didn't want us to do it, but they were so excited about the movie, they said, the hell with it.
By the way, I'm Hal Needham. I'm the director.
I'm Al Ruddy. I'm the producer of record. What we should tell you about this, when we ran this movie the first time, I think we had 21, 22, 23 single card credits. The audience started to applaud at just the cast in the movie.
Well, just in the fact that very few films have that many major stars. And the other thing is, later on in the film, when you see us go out into the desert for the big fight and everything, we had like 18 or 20 motorhomes with a star in each one. Then we had trailers, star trailers that hold about 6 apiece. We had 4 or 5 of those. And we also had a very hot car here and a couple of hot ladies to drive it.
This was a girl who was a friend of Hal Needham's at the time, who was very talented, incidentally.
And very attractive.
You know, the interesting thing, when I see Sammy's credit, actually the part is called Fender Bomb. We wrote it for Don Rickles. And Don Rickles, who actually liked the script, railed at the fact that Dom DeLuise, who he said was not as big a star as he was in Vegas, was in top position and making all the money. So he refused to do it, so he got Sammy to play Fender Bomb. He didn't have a Jewish star on his neck, so we got away with it, right?
I tell you what, the tires and the engines and the cars that we wrecked and tore up in here. You know, we should have some stock in Detroit, in Chevrolet.
Pontiac, especially, remember?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because between what you did in Smokey,
Yeah.
with that black Pontiac with the gold bird, and Pontiac was in this rather obviously. I think we ended up with a car.
Yeah.
However, Rolls-Royce didn't think they wanted to give us automobiles to be in this thing.
This Lamborghini here belonged to a doctor that we rented from, and I'm telling you, this thing would mobile. It would get down the road.
It was funny stuff. And we ought to tell them the story about how Burt agreed to do this movie. We were working desperately to try to cast the movie. To no avail, frankly, the script was not up to Gone with the Wind standards. And so Needham at that point was doing Smokey Part 2, I think,
Yeah.
with Burt. And we had spoken to Raymond Chow in Hong Kong about making Burt the highest paid actor in the history of the business to get $5 million for 4 weeks' work. So I called Hal up and I told him we're going to pay Burt $5 million for 4 weeks. We're going to send him the new script. Needham said, wait a second, you said 5 for 4, right? I said, right. That was at 2 o'clock. At about 10 after 2, Needham called me back. Ruddy, you don't have to send the script. You said 5 for 4, right? Burt's in. I said, okay.
Well, you know what? After we did a couple of car movies, he said, I'm never again going to drive a car over 35 miles an hour, but the $5 million changed his mind.
JJ? JJ? Director?
This scene right here, nobody could play this nut, Captain Chaos, like Dom DeLuise. I mean, when I read it, I thought, well, I don't know if you can pull this off or not, but he is probably the one actor in town that I thought pulled it off very well.
Oh, it's so outrageous. It needs somebody with his flair. And then, of course, the way these two guys play off each other.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Because they were actually friends long before this movie.
Well, yeah, Burt did a lot of stuff. Almost everywhere he went, whatever he did, he tried to bring Dom in because they're good friends.
Yeah, he likes playing off them. They really take the moments, you know, the reactions, even without the dialogue, the way they look at each other.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I want you to think of your hamsters as a little army, marching along on a treadmill, running their little legs off, just running just as fast as they can, making that engine just purr right along the road.
Oh, JJ, what a wonderful way to put it.
Because I remember once Dom telling me, which I told you got me a little irritated, that he's the man that makes Burt Reynolds funny. I said, yeah, don't tell that to Burt.
You know what? Something that probably most people don't know is that the Cannonball movie was taken off of the real Cannonball Run. Brock Yates, the guy who wrote it, and myself, Brock's wife, and a crazy doctor friend of mine from UCLA, took the ambulance that you see in the movie, and we ran from Darien, Connecticut to Long Beach, California. And I'm telling you, we set some records because, first of all, I put a full-blown Hemi in the Dodge van we had. It run 145 miles an hour. It held 90 gallons of gasoline, had 4 filler holes in it. When we'd pull up to a service station, I mean, we looked like a NASCAR pit crew, putting the gas in and everything. And I had a handful of 20s, and if the pump said $8, I counted it as 20. I mean, sometimes the bill would be $40 or $50, and I'd be giving the guy 60 or 70, and
Really?
then we just hit the road.
What do you mean you had 4 filler holes? What does that mean?
Well, we had 4 nozzles in it at the same time, so you didn't have to wait on one to pump 90 gallons of gas.
90 gallons?
Yeah, it held 90 gallons.
I thought maybe when you said these holes, I thought you were using it to urinate as you went down the road.
No.
Did you have time to go to the gas station for that?
Oh, yeah, and what had happened is we'd pull in and stop. Brock and his wife and the doc would go to the bathroom. I'd get out and put all the hoses in and check the oil. When I come back out, Brock would have changed a transmission and did all that kind of stuff and figured out how much money we owed him, throw the cash on him, and hit the road.
This is while you went to the bathroom.
Yeah, while I went to the bathroom,
Yeah,
correct.
And this is my faithful companion, Cato. Say hello, Cato. Been a cop long?
Captain
So, yeah,
Chaos.
and I forgot, you were the core of the story with the going as medics.
Oh, yeah.
The whole
yeah,
idea was what you did.
We tried to figure out, because in this movie, Brock says there's only one rule, there are no rules. So you could drive anything you wanted to. And I came up with the idea of putting an ambulance in it. And we left Darien, we got, I don't know, right across from New York or whatever highway that is, I think 87 or something. And it was 11 o'clock on Saturday night, traffic all over the place. And I said to Brock, I said, now's the time. I reach up and hit those red lights, and it was like Jesus parting the ocean. I mean,
you actually did it?
Oh, yeah.
You had the sirens going and the lights?
We just went, smoked right down through them and all the way across the country. Every time we got in a problem, we just hit the red lights and smoked right through.
Where's he gonna sit? Where?
Listen to me, El Porco. We're not in the Indianapolis 500. We can't have a car with numbers on it. We have to camouflage the car somehow.
Like what, JJ?
How about a limousine with diplomatic plates? Nah, I know. A bloodmobile. Never stop a bloodmobile, would they?
This here, the governor of Georgia, Busby, was going to fly this plane because he's a pilot. But we closed down this whole town for this scene that's coming up right now, as you well remember. Landed the airplane. Well,
under the wires.
Yeah,
remember?
I'm not gonna give it away, but there's not very many states or very many cities you could do this shot right here that we see right now. And the guy that flew this for me, I've known him for.
Look at this shot. Wow.
Yeah.
Was one of those VTOL things, right?
Yeah. Stole,
yeah.
Short takeoff
Look
and
at this
landings or
baby.
whatever. Look at him stand that thing on its nose trying to get it stopped.
That's a great stunt, huh?
Yeah, it was. You know, in this kind of a movie, you got to be ridiculous to hold the people's attention and to entertain them and everything else. And all this here, when we rehearsed this, Dom came in and we didn't think nothing of it. Then we turned the plane around in the real take and blew papers, as you saw, and things all over the damn store. And here we are taking off again. I mean, he had the throttle to the firewall on this thing trying to get it up. And up he goes.
Well, the thing is, this kind of movie, you can't do the stunts that have been done before. You just have to be creative and original almost in every stunt, the way you set it up. I gotta remember that.
Oh, this is so funny.
A nightmare, a living nightmare.
Roger.
I knew Roger, you did too, but I knew him because I was married to a lady at the time that threw quite a few Hollywood parties, so I'd been to a number of parties and had him over at the house a few times to some parties at our house. And you would think that he, being the superstar off of James Bond and everything, it'd be difficult. In my opinion, he was the ultimate professional. Just never bitch or moan, raise hell about anything.
A star named Roger Moore, and for this I sent you to the best schools.
The other thing is, this ranch that we picked for his home.
Yeah.
Do you remember that Burt liked it so well he bought the damn thing?
By himself.
He bought it, put a man and his wife in there to run it, so he'd have a retreat to go to and things if he went through Atlanta. That. I don't think he ever went to the damn house.
Never.
No.
Well, you know, the other thing about Roger Moore, we had to doctor the script because the E&O policy, we were so close to him playing James Bond, even in the Aston Martin, and the music got very close, that we had... He couldn't play Roger Moore, wanted to do James Bond, so we gave him the Seymour. What the hell is his name? Some ridiculous name.
Seymour was
his... In other words, he's a guy who thought he was Roger Moore, not a guy who thought he was James Bond,
right?
Which is the only way we could get around it for the insurance policy.
Not only that, but we used within one note of the James Bond music of being sued, and later on, I had a meeting with Broccoli about maybe directing one of the Bond films, and when I walked in, the first thing he said is, "I probably should sue you for a Cannonball." I said, "I think we managed to get around that."
I'll tell you what happened after this, Al. I think in the subsequent movies that Roger did with Broccoli, the Bond movies, he put a very restrictive clause in Roger's contract that he can't do anything that he would spoof James Bond as a result of this, because we came as close as you could legally without crossing the line.
Right.
With the Aston Martin with all the gimmicks on it,
right.
And license plate flipping over and all that stuff.
You know, maybe it would have been better if you didn't pay so much attention to those girls. Nobody's perfect.
That's true. Nobody's perfect. But him.
And you're going to see here in just a second, I always put myself in the movie.
As a
That's
handsome
crazy.
lug.
Well,
if
you
I've
know, I
ever
know
seen.
talent when I see it, so I just put myself in. I just cast
He
myself.
couldn't put his girlfriend in the scene because we had seen her before.
Yeah.
You're a handsome
Oh,
lug. Who
undoubtedly.
could look at Burt when you're on the screen? Baby?
Yeah, absolutely.
Forget Dom. You make him funny.
This is where they get the idea to use the ambulance for the Cannonball Run.
Now, if you look closely at this, you will see the biggest Oriental star in the world in this movie, Jackie Chan. This was his first movie made in the United States.
All right, first English-speaking movie
Yeah.
ever made.
Yeah, and the other chap with him is a guy named Michael Hoy, who at the time was regarded as the Chinese Charlie Chaplin.
Number one comedian in the Far East.
Yeah.
And Jackie Chan was the karate number one box office,
Yeah.
which it says he really was.
And the other girl was just a friend of Needham's again. With
No,
with the
no,
wig
no,
on.
no, no. I really knew when we started working with Jackie Chan that I knew he's going to be a star.
Gonna make it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, he was, again, very professional. There's something about him.
He's cute.
That
you know?
you have to like.
You like him, yeah.
You like him.
You know why? He is a sweet guy, huh?
Yeah, he is.
He's
Absolutely.
a sweet guy in person.
Later on, when I went to Hong Kong to do another show, he went out of his way to show me the town and
Yeah.
everything. He was just a super nice
He's
guy.
very decent, man.
And talented. I mean,
Oh, God. He's funny.
and his talents as an actor has grown immensely since this. This is his first shot.
Timmy Cigarro. Camel. Aren't the camel schmuck. Winston.
Who is this
Look
guy?
at that handsome guy on the right.
Yeah, with the sunglasses on.
It's a great joke, too. Give me a camel.
In case you don't know it, that was Mr. Ruddy.
Yeah. And Rudy Durant,
Yeah.
who nobody knows at this moment except people in Hollywood. I'll tell you, you know something, Hal, when I would look at this movie? If you had this movie out today, it'd be just as successful. This exact movie.
Oh, I think so. I
It's
think
just
so.
as funny.
Well, because we went over the edge, you know, which you have to do.
It was absurd, yeah. Well, the point, you know, is every character is so specific
Yeah.
and so angular. There's no crossovers. You knew what everyone was going to do and everyone was going to say.
How goes your driving, my brother?
I love being on the set with Jamie Farr. He was hysterical, wasn't he?
Yeah, he sure is.
And I suppose you still intend to go through that race with the infidel Americans?
Cannonball will fall to the pot.
Cannonball. Blah.
My dear sister, I pledge it. Drink.
Oh God, this was funny stuff. This is something that was never done before.
Yeah.
Bailing out of a plane on a motorcycle with a parachute.
A buddy of mine that was a jumper, and as I used to be, and I told him what I want to do. I said, ride out the back of this plane on a motorcycle, and he said, okay. And I said, well, wait a minute. What if you get tangled up with that thing? He said, then that's my problem. He said, no, I'll push away. I'll be okay.
No, but first you asked me to ride out without a parachute.
No, I didn't go that far.
Needham said, let's do something really different.
No, I didn't go that far. There he goes.
That was a scream.
Well, I got to tell you something. That's kind of scary to be falling with that bike. If you don't get clear of it, you get your chute tangled in it or something, well, obviously you're going to die.
That was a great look. That's marvelous stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Boy, ain't he something?
Oh, are you kidding? That is the dumbest thing I've seen since that dimwit tried to jump the Grand Canyon.
We were in Arizona for that, right?
Yeah, Arizona
We had the
for
two.
that.
We were East Coast for what we called the green look.
Right.
So we shot the United States in two locations. We were in Atlanta, Georgia, And then we went to...
we went to Arizona, to Nevada, went up around the Las Vegas area and California for the Indy.
Yeah.
3 spots.
That's right.
This motel that they're getting ready to pull into and drive this car into the swimming pool, like right here, that's where we stayed.
It's the Hawaiian Tropic Girls, remember that?
Hawaiian Tropic.
Ron's entourage.
Right. But the Hawaii,
No, I just got into it. This scene was so funny.
Yeah.
I was laughing, and Hal said, Ruddy, I can hear you. And he goes, he said, I can hear you laughing on the track. I was laughing so hard.
And you know what? Later, you and I tried to do, or did a pilot film with these guys, and the only reason the damn thing didn't sell was the head of the network got fired the weekend we took it in to show it to him. Remember
Very
that?
true, yeah.
We went in on Friday, going to show it to him on Monday. He got fired on Sunday. So the new regime just said, forget it.
It had some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen in my life in that part. I remember it had Terry Bradshaw with the bag of wigs.
Yeah.
And he'd see a girl, he'd say, give me the Bob Redford. And he put on the blonde wig. And he had the Sean Connery wig.
Oh, anyway, the motel where this is being shot, the company stayed at that motel. And if you saw the marquee a while ago, it said Cannonball Pub. And they really did change it to the Cannonball Pub. But those people were just so excited about having us there. And they did little things like when we worked nights in the parking lot, they kept the bar open all night for us, and good things like that.
Well, the other thing that I must say, Hal's the only director I've ever seen that does this. Every night, he would run dailies for everybody, cast and crew. And we got food, and we got...
booze.
Food, and then he would lay out all the booze. I mean, scotch and vodka and beer and all soft drinks. And we'd sit there. Ostensibly, we would do this right after we got through shooting and then go have dinner. What most guys got through watching dailies after 3 shooters, they'd stumble into the room and go to sleep.
But we'd take the whole crew in there. But I tell you, Ruddy, it helped when you're in the editing room to remember, if that crew saw something in dailies and laughed at it, you'd say, wait a minute, they were out there busting their ass all day trying to get this done, and now they come in here and look at it and they're still laughing at it, then you got to know that it's pretty funny stuff.
True. I got to throw you a bone again, Hal. The other thing that Hal did that I've never seen any other director do, we'd start out in the morning and say, guys, this is the work for the day. When we get through this, we're not going to do anything else. We're going to go home. At this point, everybody on the crew, the makeup guy was helping the electricians, everyone was crossing the lines. Some days we'd get through at 2, 3 o'clock. They'd all be back in the pool swimming.
I remember one day we got through about noon.
Yeah, I was bringing all the press people out. Yeah. You were rapping when I brought him. I said, Needham, everyone should sit down.
I had to go look at a location or something. When I got back to the motel, all the guys, the crew, were all out there with the Hawaiian Tropic Girls in the swimming pool and everything. And I'd walk by and I'd say, you guys okay? And they say, fine, boss, just fine, you know. But as you also remember, we had a wreck here one night. And when I say a wreck, we had a big crane with a bunch of lights hanging on it. And it fell over and mashed some cars and all that stuff. Hell, we just wrapped and went to the bar for the rest of the night. We hadn't even made a shot. And the next night we came in and did both nights' work in one night.
I mean, it was a beautifully run show, but, I mean, you really had those guys honed in, Hal. I've never seen anyone run a crew as well as you do.
There's our Cannonball. Well, you know, Ruddy, I think part of that is the fact that I was crew for so many years. You know, I mean, I was an extra and I was a stunt man, and so I knew all the crews.
You were a paratrooper too, Needham and Hal.
But I knew what they wanted. They want to be treated decent. They want good food, and they want you to like them. I swear my crews would almost die for me.
No, there's no question about it. But you treated them well, Hal.
Well, yeah.
I mean, there was not, I'm the director and you're, down there.
The one thing I do, whenever I went to a bar, any of my crew were in there, I never let them buy a drink. I mean, just to show that I cared about them.
Yeah, that's why he hired guys that didn't drink, but outside of that, it's relevant. Teetotalers.
Yeah. No, my crew was known to have a toddy or
a few. It was, I must say, going to the dailies every night was something everyone looked forward to.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of fun because everybody'd get a drink when we put up the first reel. And when the reel was over, everybody'd go get another drink and put up another reel. By the fifth reel, everybody thought it was funny, you know?
They're laughing at everything,
Yeah.
even scenes they've seen before.
You have to be very scientific about this. Could go up the nostrils, affect the sinuses.
That's true.
Yeah. Don't bother about the bill. Just give him a couple of enemas and call me in the morning.
This kid here that is mocking the press, you found him on a TV show or something, didn't you? He was out of New York. He was
George
a
First,
street entertainer or something out of New York.
Oh, yeah, he was a big star on Broadway. Very funny, actually.
And here comes the nut.
Here comes the chief. The line that always cracks me up is the funniest line. It's funny how you remember certain things. We'll get to it later when he pulls into that 7-Eleven gas station and he sees this great chick.
Yeah.
He says, I'll be back. I'm coming back. He says, take a physical. George Firth. Yeah, this guy's Martha Broadway, New York face.
You know what? I used him in Hooper. And he was the SPCA guy on the set. And he did something in that movie that just tickled the hell out of me. When he got in an argument with Burt, because Burt did a high fall with a dog in his arm or something. And when he got ready to leave, he took his hat off and hit Burt with it. I just thought it was funny as hell.
You know, actually, when you look at the movie again, it's bizarre. You know that 5 of these stars could have funded movies by themselves at that time.
Oh, yeah.
Roger, Burt, Farrah Fawcett was a major star.
Yeah.
Then forget Dean, Sammy, all the other guys. But it's funny, once the movie got going with Burt, a lot of guys
came on board.
Came on.
Yeah.
And I remember even in the second one, Frank Sinatra actually called Dean up and said, why don't guys ever ask me to come on? Remember?
Yes.
We never even thought of going to Sinatra. But he loved this movie so much, and Dean told him how much fun he had doing it.
We had Dean. Yeah, we had Dean and Sammy. Then we had Shirley MacLaine.
You had the whole Rat Pack.
Had the Rat Pack. Here's our priest. But had the Rat Pack, so they, I think
might have been
Sinatra was saying, hey, let me go out and have a little fun with them.
With the guys.
And I never forget the first morning when that Sinatra was going to work. I always get to the set real early. And I got there, and I'd be damned if Sinatra wasn't already out of makeup. He'd been there ready to go.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
Well, the thing is that the guy flew in early in the morning in his Learjet. Needham, he shot them all in and out in one day in 3 scenes?
Yeah. You know something else? You cannot replace talent.
No.
I mean, there are so many people in this film that have so much talent.
No question.
George Firth here, I mean, give him anything you want done, man.
Well, when you look at with Mel Tillis and Terry Bradshaw and Dean and Sammy and Burt and Farrah.
And Farrah. Yeah. And here's a pretty good pair right there, too.
Barbeau.
Oh, that would be very exciting.
This is a very funny scene.
But we're cannonballers ourselves, thank you.
They're cannonballers?
It's bizarre how well this movie holds up, you know that?
Yeah.
Just as funny today.
We made it a pretty good while ago, but it's still...
Well, you know, the interesting thing is when you even look at the cars.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all...
The cars are contemporary cars today.
Sure.
You know, the Lambos.
Lamborghinis and
the van.
Ferraris.
You could do it today with the 308 and the Lamborghini and the van. There's that great musical cue. I remember that.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Don't tell me your name. Let me guess. Melissa.
I'd say she's a pretty lady.
Yeah, beautiful. It certainly wasn't hard to work with.
Nah. I've never had a problem with an actor. Never have I had a problem with an actor. And I have a little theory that I go by. When I go into a room, I go in, I know already where I want the actors to sit, move, go, do, whatever. And I'll just say, okay, come on into the room and let's walk through it one time. And what I do is, instead of going up to them and say, all right, now I want you to walk over here and so on and so forth, I say, let me ask you, could you, when you come in the door, just move over here that way, and I tell them what my camera angle is. You challenge them, and they accept it immediately just to show you that they can do it and everything. And I've never had a problem with, not one actor I've ever had a problem with. None.
You know, I do think part of it, Hal, that I think frustrates actors and creates problems is working for somebody who's not sure what they want to do.
And they do it 15 times. And the actors, what happens is your actors are worn out by the time the director finally says, print one.
That's true.
And for the people that don't know it, I very seldom shoot anything over 3 times. Twice as...
Once for protection.
Well, yeah.
Max.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it takes a unique talent, Hal, to handle as many stars as you did in this piece. But you knew what you wanted from them, and you were very specific in what you asked, and they were happy to do it.
Well, it's not brain surgery, you know.
Well, it doesn't have to be
it's
a real talent.
I have to do is set the camera, and I got a director of photography to help me do that. And when you got this much talent, really all you have to do is say action, print, cut, let's move to the next shot.
You make it sound so easy. A lot of morons out there saying, well, why? They're going to be a director. This man
they probably could.
This man has worked in the business for years and has been on 1,000 sets and done hundreds and hundreds of hours of film. And sure, it's seemingly easy to Hal Needham because he's done it so many times. He understands what has to be done. And I think that sense of that attack on the scene that he says, well, just put the camera here, Michael, is something that is distilled through years of experience. And believe me, Hal, I've been on sets with other directors. You see how much hair I don't have anymore? You start tearing some of it out the back. I've actually stopped some directors. Said, what the hell are we doing here? You don't need this shot, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
You know? So
you know what? I've done 310 movies, either as a stuntman, an actor, or a director. I've done 4,500 television shows. I have to have learned something, or be
even between drinks.
Yeah, or be the biggest idiot in the world. I mean, with all that time on the set, and I have worked for directors, especially doing stunts, that had no idea where the camera should be, or how it was to be accomplished, or anything else. And so from them, I learned, I think, what not to do.
It's true. Look at Dean. I mean, was Dean Martin one of the joys on this movie?
Yes, he was.
He was kind to everybody.
Well, you know, what's another thing that's kind of strange is a lot of actors that I doubled when I was a stuntman, and
John Wayne,
Dean Martin being one of them.
Oh, the Western, what was that? He did the one with
something
Wayne.
Big.
Yeah.
No.
He did one with John Wayne, the Western. Remember, he was.
Yeah, and I didn't.
Was that El Dorado? I keep forgetting which one.
I forget which one it was, but I didn't do that one. First time I doubled him was on Something Big. You can see we weren't afraid to put a few stunts in this movie.
Now you will notice how close we come to the James Bond theme here. So
well, we came one note away from being sued.
Yeah.
This lady here, I have no idea who she is. She was just a local from Atlanta, Georgia. But I guarantee you, when I saw her, I said, "This is the lady to walk up with Roger Moore." And she
I
did.
can understand why. And looking back at it now,
There's-
that's your secretary.
That's my secretary on the right,
Kathy
and that's
Shea.
Brock Yates, the writer's wife, on the left.
That little boy was me when we saw it.
The little boy what?
Was me at the time. I was a kid when we made this movie.
Oh.
Keep the media coverage to a minimum. Thank you.
You hurry the hell up.
Oh, God, I forgot he was even in the movie. And that son of a bitch was strong. I want to tell you something. I used him in in Smokey 2. I used him where he wrecks Gleason's car. I can tell you something. If you had the money that we had lined up on this parking lot in automobiles, you wouldn't have to work for a while, Ruddy.
Believe you me, it was true.
And earlier I was saying that we had an accident where the crane fell over.
Yeah.
The crane fell over and mashed a Ferrari Boxer, from its normal height to about 8 inches off the floor. The guy that owned it was up in the pub having a drink, and they told him, he come down there, I thought he was going to have a heart attack.
Well, if you notice here, that's Budweiser beer that's being loaded. We were actually one of the first movies, I think, that exploited product tie-in to the extent we did.
Yeah.
And we generated about $2.5–3 million in co-op ads with 7-Eleven, with the Slurpee cups.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a number of advertisers
that were glad to get on board.
Yeah, Goodyear Tire. We had a lot of guys.
This is Brock Yates. He's a guy that, he's the nut that really ran the original Cannonballs, and he's the nut that I drove the ambulance with. And
he still writes now for Car and Driver.
Or Car and Driver, and he does a lot of, look at this cast. Look at that cast. He writes for Car and Driver, and he's an announcer for television for auto racing and things like that. He knows what he's talking about.
He also has something he's original. I think the Cannonball Run. I think they stopped doing because.
Well, he stopped it.
Yeah, he stopped it because.
Now he has a thing called One Lap of America.
Yeah, which is really more of a not.
It's a rally. It's a rally.
Rally.
I mean, when we ran the Cannonball, I mean, that damn ambulance run 145, and when I was driving, that's what we were doing, 145.
It's not politically correct, I think.
No, but it was fun.
It was fun.
Well, you know something strange, though? They figured out the statistics. They had run the Cannonball so many times, and they figured out the miles and the average speed and everything. And the average speed's up around, we average 94 miles an hour. Average 94 miles an hour, and that's stopping to get gas and everything. But the average speed for all the Cannonballs was something like 80 miles an hour, and they've never had an accident. Never had.
How many Cannonballs? I know Dan Gurney won one and a Ferrari won.
Gurney and Brock Yates won the first one. You know, I don't remember who won the rest of them.
But there weren't that many. I don't think it's only.
They ran 5.
There were 5?
Yeah. The last one they ran was when Brock and I and the Mad Doctor and his wife run the ambulance. Because if I'm not mistaken, Ruddy, didn't we write a clause in there saying that he couldn't run it anymore, that we were afraid of the legalities of it and things?
I think there was some restriction put on it. But I think it'd have a hard time. Cannonball Run, the Cannonball Run itself was never had any. It was always under the table. It was
it wasn't sanctioned by anyone.
It wasn't sanctioned by anyone, and no one really knew outside of a handful of nuts.
I'll tell you what.
That was going on.
The Ohio police knew. Boy, Ohio.
You were coming through?
Well, yeah, boy, they were tough. They got one guy 5 times in Ohio. Yeah. They got so they knew him by his first name. They say, "Okay, George, come on." You know.
That's funny.
These guys were really great, and the stuff we did with the little car is
launching the Subaru.
Funny, yeah.
Well, the other thing that's worth mentioning here, and again it goes back to Hal. In order to do a movie with this many stars, A lot of these stars only worked 2 days, 3 days. We needed everyone at the beginning and everybody at the end, and in between, they would do their bit. Now, the point is when a star would show up and you know he's going to be there Tuesday for 2 days, you better be ready to shoot him and not be behind schedule. So when you're working with someone like Hal, there was never a problem. And we facilitated these stars because you kept to that schedule.
Yeah.
And a guy'd show up in the morning, you'd start shooting him, and he'd be gone. That's how you can get all these stars.
Yeah, because you can't afford to have this many stars hang around for the full length of the movie. I don't know what Roger worked in there, but I don't believe he worked over a week, did he?
No, he worked about a week and a half.
I think Dean and Sammy might have worked a little bit more.
But still, there was basically the beginning, the end, and you probably used them for like a week in between.
Yeah. Now, Terry and Mel, they worked pretty much all the way through it. But I'm talking about the super big stars. We had to.
Well, if you consider Burt worked 4 weeks, so how much?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how many days did we shot? What, 35, 36 days, right?
Yeah, right.
So no one worked too long.
No.
But I mean, it was the way that you could facilitate getting that many stars in one movie.
Not only that, but we made 3 major moves. And when I say moves, I'm talking about moving the whole company.
Company move.
Driving the trucks from Atlanta, Georgia to Las Vegas.
And then
from Las Vegas to L.A. And then we had to move back to Las Vegas, if you remember. So we made 3 major moves, and that's a lot to do in a
for a major company move.
Yeah.
We are going right down there and bring this thing to a screeching halt right now. Buckle up. We're going into action.
Would you mind? Very simple.
Might be easier with your lights on.
Roger would, on many occasions at night, sit around, and he was quite a raconteur. You know, he'd tell you marvelous stories. And truly one of the funny, forget being a nice guy, which he is, but very, very funny when he started having a few drinks and loosen him up.
Well, you know what? At the Cannonball Pub upstairs in the motel where we were, it wasn't unusual to see the whole damn cast up there, and they'd take turns at singing and entertaining and everything. It really got to be the local hangout because everybody's going, oh Christ, I get to see all these stars, and they come up there at night. It was a fun place. And these 2 nuts, the 2 guys on the motorcycles, that when we ran the race, the Cannonball, what Brock and I did was we gave everybody a tape recorder and a pen and pencil and said, write down anything you think is going to be funny and so on and so forth. So a lot of these characters, like the priest and the 2 guys on the motorcycle, those things really happened.
Really?
In the real Cannonball Run, yeah. And they do anything. One guy had a sign on his car or identification or something saying that he was delivering body parts for
transplant.
Transplants, yeah.
I mean, you must admit, Jack in the scene coming with Jack Elam was one of the funniest cuts when you
open the door.
I've got someone, you see him come out.
When
terrifying.
When he opens that door.
Oh, you're screaming. And she sees him too. He says, I'm a proctologist.
Yeah. I'd worked with, doing many westerns, I'd worked with Elam a number of times, and I know how funny he is, on and off the screen. And I just knew he'd be hilarious. Especially
and actually, one of the brightest men, I forget, he was like
he was an accountant.
He was an accountant.
And the reason his doctor said if you don't quit, you're going to go blind. So he quit being an accountant and became
that's logical.
An actor, yeah.
The one thing you were always warned with Jack Elam is don't ever play liar's poker with him.
Oh, no.
He made a fortune doing westerns with John Wayne because he was an accountant. He knows numbers, and you want to stay away from him in any kind of
Here's the scene.
Yeah,
this is Jack Elam's entrance.
This is what I found for you. And it had a real musical sting, Wall. Oh, he's spitting his hand, yeah. God, it was
oh, God. He breaks me up, man.
Yeah.
You may be a little overqualified.
I never realized he could do comedy.
Oh.
I never saw him do any comedy until he worked on this thing.
Oh, he is funny.
He's outrageous.
Yeah. Christ.
You know, I swear to God, Hal, I don't know how you could almost take this script again and shoot it.
Go ahead and get a new cast and reshoot it.
Thing.
I don't know if I'd want a new cast.
No,
or
I
not.
know. But I mean, it is outrageously funny.
I know.
I've determined that my services will require the payment of $2,000.
The characters are off the wall.
Along the lines of $200.
He thinks he'll take it.
I'll check my calendar.
My schedule, I find I'll be able to make the journey as far as the money's concerned. You gotta
The doctor that I took from UCLA, he said, "That's who you picked to portray me." He was a little upset.
You ought to start paying for your treatment after that, right?
Yeah.
right back where we started from.
Thank you, Victor. We do not have a female patient.
When we ran the real Cannonball, Brock and I did all the driving, and the doc and his wife is in the back. Later on, there's going to be a scene. I'll tell you about it when we get there. But when I drive, I guess Brock figured he had his life and his wife in the car, and we were averaging about 80, 85 miles an hour.
Smoking it.
When I'd get behind the wheel, we'd average 104, 105. One time, I came to a little detour. It was a 2-lane road in Pennsylvania, and it came on us so fast. Well, it came on us at 145 miles an hour, and it was nighttime, and there was a detour, and I made a little bit of a left turn and followed the detour, and it was, I had that van completely sideways at about 140 miles an hour, and I straightened it back up and I never picked up, never lifted off the accelerator, and went on down and kind of did the same thing, getting back onto the regular highway, and nobody said one word. I mean,
they're petrified, yeah.
Oh, everybody was petrified. Nobody said anything.
Would you have heavy springs? Well, you must have done suspension.
We had a super electronic suspension system on it. That van cost me about $60,000.
In those days?
Yeah.
Well, you must have had great suspension because that van isn't exactly doesn't handle like a Ferrari by nature.
I don't know. I gave that to the chapel of the NASCAR chapel, and from the auction off, and they auctioned off, it raised quite a lot of money for the church, and some guy in Asheville, North Carolina or something has a real hot ambulance, I can assure you.
Now, all these scenes in the van that you're going to see is what Needham calls poor man's process. I don't think anyone does this today, but it's amazing how real. And we did this downstairs in one of remember the subterranean garage?
In a garage.
Garage was dark and just moving, shaking the car a little. But you can't get it any better than this, huh?
Excuse me.
My God, the perfect specimen.
Examination.
JJ, you want me to start the examination right away? I don't like this job. Right here.
God.
No, thank you. Not right now.
最好咧，呢次咧人哋捉晒咧，我哋係實第一名噶啦。This 30 years， 你諗住我發錢我哋做乜嘢咧，大佬？我見到點到你唔服啫，我。
We put a little high tech in it that really didn't exist
in those days. Yeah.
In those days, today it does, but it didn't then.
That's true. That with Cadillacs, you get night vision one.
And a little stealth.
It was a running gag with the girls in the car.
Yeah. One of them's always going to choose to unzip her blouse a little bit, and it's amazing also. This guy you see right here, this cop, was Burt's stand-in on the movie. We give him a part. Earlier you saw a guy at the bar who was our accountant for the movie.
Oh, John. That's
John.
Right.
I mean, we put everybody in this damn thing. You and I and John and this kid.
And throw the bodies in.
Yeah.
Let me see your driver's license, please.
Oh, here comes the license.
Well, I gotta say that if I was a cop, I think I'd let him go.
Little indiscretion, with the whole road packed with speed crazy lunatics.
It's still a tasteful movie, you know.
And it's got a payoff to it.
I mean, the
Always
movie
has a
never
payoff.
got sleazy.
No.
It always was a good-natured breeze, you know.
Take care. Keep it in the road.
You know, originally when Brock Yates started the Cannonball, he and 2 or 3 of his drinking buddies were in a bar in Connecticut, and they decided to do this thing. And there's 5 of them supposed to show up, and only 2 of them showed. So they said, hell, we'll just run it anyway. So they did. Because he did a newspaper called the Cannonball Run.
Oh, Brock did?
Brock did, yeah, and he still does. So he advertised the next year in there and said, we're going to run this race and everything. So they had like 10, 12 next time, and then they had about 15, 18 next time. Then we ran the big one. And when he put the word out in the paper, we had 46 different vehicles in this thing. I mean, whatever you can think of, that's what we had in there, including the motorcycle with the 2 guys on it.
Really?
And one of them dressed as a bride and all that kind of stuff.
How many of these cars showed up at the end? How many cars made it to California?
How many made
the 46 that started?
All but one.
Really?
Yeah, he had a blown engine or something. We had a big party down there in Long Beach at the hotel when we got through. And boy, you talking about a beat crowd. Man, you go straight through. I mean, there's no stopping. And not only that, but I got up on Saturday morning early, and we didn't leave until 11:30 that night. Then we drove, and it took us 32 hours to get there, so we'd been up for a long time. And
then would you sleep in the back while someone else drove?
Never shut my eyes.
JJ? Thanks. Victor?
See this scene right here? This came right out of the real run. I was running 145 miles an hour. I looked in my mirror, and we're in Pennsylvania somewhere, and I look in my mirror and I see some headlights way back, and we hadn't passed anybody. And
Did you have radar detectors in those days?
Oh yeah, fuzzbusters, yeah. But we were way back. I saw this light way back, and I said, Brock, I said, it's got to be the cops. So I slowed down to about 80, 85 or something like that, and they started gaining on us. They weren't gaining on us at first. They started gaining on us. When they got there, they turned their lights on. I pulled over, and he's got out. And here's the ambulance. That's what it looked like. That is the car we used.
Exact car, yeah.
And he and I were dressed in the same uniforms that they got on. And these 2 cops said, "What are you doing, son?" I said, "Well, I got a patient. I'm going taking them in." He said, "Well, where you heading?" I said, "California." He said, "California?" We're in Pennsylvania. And he said, "Why didn't you fly her?" I said, "I have no idea." I said, "You'll have to ask the doc." So I took him around. Of course, the doc wasn't Jack Elam, but anyway, they went around, opened the door. We had her, his wife, Pam, laying out there on a gurney with IV needles in her arm, or supposedly in her arm. And this cop said, "What's wrong with her?" And he just reached and got a UCLA medical thing and held a sheet and held it up, showed the cop. And the cop says, "Well, what's wrong with her?" And he says, "It's a lung disease." He says, "Obviously, you don't know medicine." He said, "It's so bad." He said, "We not only couldn't fly her, we couldn't even take the northern route. We have to go to the south." And when those cops didn't say anything, we were running on intimidation. In other words, we're saying we hope the red lights and the ambulance gets us through. And having the doc on board didn't hurt anything. And these guys said, "Okay," because see, if they stop us and something happens to that patient, they could be in trouble.
Oh, sure.
So,
well, the whole thing is so outrageous. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, what are they going to say? We don't believe the doc?
Right.
Take
So-
those needles out of the arm. We're taking these girls in.
Right. So anyway, they turned us loose and they said, "Okay, but slow this damn thing down and turn those red lights off." And I said, "But wait a minute, I always run with red lights." He said, "Not in this state." And I said, "You got it. Okay." And we got it. And what I wanted to do was go back and try to find those 2 cops and get them to play the parts.
Oh, that would
but
be
I thought,
funny.
nah, I better not push my luck, you know.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, it was fun. We had so much fun. Later on, when we was going through Kansas, and it was on a Sunday afternoon, 3 or 4 o'clock, something like that, as best I remember. and there was a rodeo. And again, we're on the CB, and we know what's coming up and everything, and the traffic started getting heavy and everything. And I said, Brock, we got to get through this thing. So we got on the CB and started saying we're a meat wagon, we're coming through, and we had the red lights on and all that kind of stuff. And traffic was everywhere, and there was a cop in the middle of the street, and he's directing traffic. When he sees us coming, he stops everybody and just waves us through. And I said, this ain't fair. I mean, you know, we really...
Well, so how'd you guys do in the race finally, Nina?
Well, to tell you the truth, we broke down in Palm Springs. We lost a transmission. Kidding. We lost the transmission and had to put it on. A guy came by with a big semi, a flatbed, and I paid him to load this thing up and bring us on into Long Beach. Well, we had it won because we was averaging 96 miles.
It's such a great idea, too.
Yeah, we had it won.
Well, did you get any speeding tickets at all?
No. That's the only time we got stopped was in Pennsylvania by those.
Great disguise.
Yeah, here's where we almost got sued by Broccoli for taking all of his ideas, which are coming up here pretty soon.
Please go ahead, they're your lungs. Well,
I'm sure the audience is alert enough to know that every time you see Roger Moore's got a new girlfriend in the car.
No, of course not.
Well, then I drifted into playing a rather popular character on a television series. It's still in syndication, you know. Puff away.
Thanks a lot, ladies. But I would take it a little easier. Some of the officers up.
And every time we see these two, they got a new cop that they're
playing
tantalizing.
The same game. Well, it did have a great payoff with the girls, which you see
Absolutely.
coming up.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that was something Hal did in all of his movies, you will notice whenever a cop car went out of control, he always resolved it by showing the cops never getting killed or hurt.
Yeah.
They always got up with a befuddled look, but the race went on.
Well, you know, we didn't no mayhem in this film. I mean, obviously we're stretching the law a little bit by speeding and things, but we never, you know.
No one ever got hurt.
Nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just gave her a little prick with this.
Hey, Super Chief, will you lean forward so I can get the front wheel on the ground? Stop kidding, I am.
Here's the Wheelie King. Obviously, this is not the actors on there. That's a stuntman, a couple of stuntmen on the bike. But this guy could wheelie that motorcycle as far as you want him to go. He could go a mile or two
Really?
or whatever. Just throw it on the back wheel and down the road he'd go.
Nina, was this 308 Ferrari yours? Like if you had
That was mine, yeah. What I did was by putting
Dean and Sammy.
Dean and Sammy in that car, we had to take the car and the ambulance, all the actors' car, we had to take them with us on the car carriers. So I said, oh, this is fine. I'll put them in my car. That way, at night, I'd have something to drive. So I carried my car with me all the way.
We want to bless you.
Talking about, he said, there's no black priest, and he said, there is. This is funny stuff.
I remember one time we were thinking of doing a scene with Dean and Sammy going through a southern town with the Ku Klux Klan. And Burt following, and Burt said, hey guys.
We're pushing it.
We're pushing this. That's my crowd. That's my audience. Let's forget it.
Priest in a red Ferrari. Couldn't hurt. I think.
I got to tell you, that little Ferrari'd run pretty good, too.
It's expensive to operate. I remember some of the bills you were getting.
Oh, yeah, to maintain it?
To maintain it.
Oh, it's $1,600 just for a tune-up, for Christ's sake.
I was in your office once when it was in Hollywood sports cars. Yeah. And Kathy came and told you how much it was to tune it up. Like
and you picked me off the floor.
Yeah.
I had this car. Again, this is nothing to do with the movie, but I owned the rocket car that first broke the sound barrier, the Budweiser rocket. My secretary had my mother in her car, and they were going out there and to the desert where we was running Edwards Air Force Base, and I went by them doing probably 110, 50 miles an hour, and 4 miles down the road, Highway Patrol got me. Now, while he's talking to me, they go on by, and when I got there, they said, You got a ticket, that'll teach you. And I said, no. What happened was the cop, I showed him my license, and he said, how's the car running? And I said, how's the car running? And I said, hell, you were chasing me, you know. He said, no, I don't mean this one. How's the rocket car running? And I said,
really?
Oh, I said, well, we're getting close to breaking the sound barrier, we think. And he said, well, do yourself a favor. Don't break it in this little red Ferrari and get on out of here. And didn't write me a ticket, you know. He let me go.
Ooh, JJ, we got a flat. Yeah, and those priests
Weren't fathers. They were
mothers.
Come here.
Oh, gee.
So there you have it, a rather simple story, actually. International film star.
Well, here we are with Roger with a new girlfriend. One thing I do know how to shoot, and that's action. And in here, you're getting ready to see something here. I was the first guy to bring rockets, and I'm talking about hydrogen peroxide rockets, into the picture business. And you're getting ready to see a scene where I put a hydrogen peroxide rocket on the back of a police car and set it at 45 degrees to the way he was going. And when he hit the button, things got 25,000 horsepower, the rocket does. Wait till you see what it does to this car.
We had one on the Subaru when you launched it, in, remember, with the guys?
Oh, yeah.
With
yeah,
Jackie and
right.
Michael.
I did. Yeah, we launched it out into the water.
Yeah. You got to remind me to tell, if we have a little time here, with what you had done. We were trying to develop Megaforce with Bill and his rocket. When he came by the studio one day, burned the goddamn studio down. Jesus Christ.
Here's another scene where we take advantage of Slurpees or whatever it is they sell to get
little tie-ins.
How much did 7-Eleven put into the ad budget on this thing?
7-Eleven put it on the Slurpee cups, and they spent about $500,000.
But they had something like 25 million Slurpee cups, and they ran out because they had the picture of the stars on them.
The stars on the cup.
And now that, then they contributed some cash to the advertising program.
At the end, yeah.
But what we did was we showed people that 7-Eleven sells gasoline. And a lot of people didn't even think of it. There's our wheelie expert again. But people didn't even know it. So they wanted to show that they sold gasoline. And we thought while we were there, we'd advertise a little Slurpee. I told Dom and Burt, I said, dream up something here to work this in so we'll bring a little attention to it. And wait till they get in the car. I mean, Dom DeLuise is a pro at this.
Oh, look at the Budweiser. Remember when the plane lands in town? And he gets the beer. He goes, when you say Budweiser, you've said it all.
He's got the Budweiser and he's got a Slurpee. Oh, Christ. Well, let's show them how we can dupe them sometime. This is the same cop that stopped the two girls a little earlier in the movie. And I'll bet you if we didn't tell them, they wouldn't have known it.
No. You know why? A lot of cops look like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're a different state, different time. A lot of things have happened.
If audiences like what they see,
that's all that counts.
It goes along with it.
You know what? I hear producers and directors and people argue over a little cut here, a little cut there. And you're right. If people are enjoying the film, you can do almost anything you want to, and they don't pay any attention to it. We in Hollywood get carried away with our own
matching shots.
Matching, it's got to be perfect and all that kind of stuff. And if it's good, entertaining, they don't care.
Absolutely not.
He's sicking them on
Dean and Sammy.
Dean and Sammy, yeah.
I think they're armed.
The thing is that this movie had so much energy.
Yeah.
That even if you had any goofs, and I don't think we did actually film it.
I don't remember any, but
you would never have noticed it anyhow because it was moving at such a clip.
Let me tell you something. Burt Reynolds is the only actor I know that can turn and react directly into the lens.
Yeah, true. He's totally comfortable with it.
Yeah, he's comfortable with it, and the audience accepts it. I mean, he's saying, aren't we having fun? And you know,
that's true.
That's what's in his eye.
That's true.
And he's saying, aren't we having fun? And the audience accepted. And the first time I did that was in Smokey 1. I had him look directly in the camera and kind of raise his eyebrow and pull away after he'd snookered a cop. So from there I learned that I could get away with it with him.
It's true, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Audiences loved it.
You, Shorty. Where'd you get all that jewelry?
Now, Sammy Davis was truly one of, forget being the nicest, probably one of the most talented people
Oh, yeah.
I ever met in my life.
He could do it all.
Oh.
He could do it all.
He went to Canforce one year when Roger couldn't go. He went to help sell the movie. He was a real pro, Sammy. And of course, Sammy loved the movie.
Oh, yeah.
He had such a good time.
And
you know, actually, it was one of the, ironically, it shows you how Hollywood didn't appreciate a lot of this talent. This is one of the biggest parts Sammy's ever done in a movie. You know?
I know it, yeah.
Well, he was
did
in Ocean's 11. He was a couple other, but he was a major star in this movie.
Yeah.
You know?
And did it very well.
Yeah.
The one thing I did was I formed a bond between myself and truckers across the United States with
Smokey.
Well, with Smokey, and then with Smokey 2,
Hooper,
and Hooper, and this one. I mean, I really give them made the truckers look like they're good guys.
Okay, let it go.
And they really helped you in the movie.
Oh. When I did Smokey 2, I must have had 40 or 50 trucks out there, and what I did was put an ad in the paper, all the freelance truckers and everything to come in if they wanted to be in the movie. I had so damn many trucks out there, I didn't know what to do with them. And I think all we did was supply their gasoline and things, and and here was the good part about it. I had so many that if a guy wanted to come in and work a day and leave, that was all right, because I wouldn't miss him anyway. I had so many that I didn't know what to do with all of them.
Quiet, Victor. You're gonna blow our cover. JJ, this is not a 9-to-5 job. I wish you knew.
I remember Dom actually was, I think, the only star who stayed with us at our motel. I mean, Burt and everyone else stayed at the fancy hotel. You remember?
Yeah.
In Tucson.
Oh yeah, in Tucson.
They stayed
right.
at I forget.
And
the
he
hours.
stayed over with us and the crew.
Yeah, and the crew. Like hanging around with the guys.
You know, talking earlier about how I get along with the crew, the one thing I always do is I never stay anywhere but where I put my crew. And the one lady I was married to in my life, she said, well, we can't stay here. And I said, I always stay with my crew. She says, I've never stayed with the crew. And I said, well, this is where we're staying this time. And they appreciate that fact. They know that
you're one of the guys.
I'm one of them. I don't get some big fancy hotel.
No, because there was an elegant hotel in Tucson where Burt and the guys stayed. Yeah. With like a little private cottage.
But being you and I, we stayed right down there with the crew.
With the guys, baby.
Well, yeah.
By the time you got through looking at dailies, you didn't want to drive back to a hotel.
Couldn't.
I guess so.
My father used to work in the coal mines. 43 years.
Oh, God. We did, I don't know if people know or not, but you and I have done quite a few movies together. We did Cannonball 2, and Burt and Shirley MacLaine decided that they wanted to have this meaningful scene along the side of the road in the middle of a race. And I said, Burt, that doesn't make any sense. He said, oh, yeah, it needs to be in there. Well, I said, okay. So I picked a time, 4 o'clock in the morning or something, when the sun was coming up and everything. And I told my cameras, I had 3 cameras, and I told all of them, I said, when this shot's over, I want you to tell me just it's the most gorgeous, beautiful thing you've ever seen, because I said it's never going to be in the goddamn film anyway. But you have to do that to pacify them and keep them happy. Otherwise, they're going to blow up on you.
You know, I remember looking at it when we were in Arizona. It must have been 105 degrees, and we remember the crew was taking salt tablets.
Oh, yeah.
I I mean, when they brought the chimpanzee out,
Oh,
he was in a wheelchair with an umbrella and wet towels around him, and we're all fainting on the road. It was so goddamn hot.
Come on, guys, keep moving, will you, please?
Another hero trucker. What is this ball player's name? He was
on the Jets at the
a
time.
lineman on the Jets, and I can't remember his name. Damn it!
Yeah, he was huge.
The arms on him.
I think you're so big. Hey, do some of you people want to come over and push this thing out of the way? Come on. I'll put it in.
Actually, George was not only an actor, he was a very famous playwright. You know, he had 1 or 2 top plays he had written.
Yeah, if you can't think of anything else to do, blow up something.
I'll tell you what, he didn't waste a lot of time on this movie. When you look, it is literally wall to wall.
And it's moving.
Moving, action. When it stops, it's funny.
Hey, George, you remember the good old days before they got radar in? We used to chase speeders.
Yeah, this is really boring.
鬼唔希望可以捉晒我哋第一名咩？實捉晒啊咁樣。我話呢個30幾年先有咁嘅嘢啊嘛。冇辦法啦，嗰啲美國佬點解知道我哋啲犀利？警察，警察！
It's definitely not Star Wars time, but it was ahead of its time at the moment.
我見到佢哋喎，而家我哋見到佢，佢就見唔到我哋。離班 Smokey， sayonara，拜拜。
What the hell was that?
Oh yeah, they're stealth. We had that before the F-17 or whatever it is, right?
That's true. Stealth.
佢蠢到無倫啦呢啲友。哇！我哋咁樣就好嘢啦呢喎。
Oh, here comes the scene you were talking about.
Oh yeah.
Where the girl comes
Get
out.
a physical. I'll come back and get you.
I told you I was doing 140 miles
And he backs the car. He backs the car. He stops and he thinks about it. It cracked. Jamie was.
No, how much?
$6.75.
Here, my desert blossom. Keep the change.
You know what I'm trying to remember, Hal, is how much of this stuff the guys improvised in some of these scenes.
A lot of
it.
it.
A lot, yeah.
A lot of it. Yeah.
I mean, the guys got so into their characters that they it says get a physical. Yeah, there was a lot of improv because everyone was having fun doing it.
When you got this kind of talent,
yeah,
if you make them stick with the script, it's going to fall on its ass.
It's true. It's
you know,
true.
turn them loose, let them go. I mean,
yeah, it's true. If it doesn't work, you don't put it in the film. That's
I'm talking about films that have nothing to do with this, but it's like Smokey and the Bandit. If you think we wrote every word that Jackie Gleason said, you're crazy.
Oh,
you know,
God. Oh, it's a gift. It's a gift. Well, then with Dean and Sammy too.
Dean
all
and
the
Sammy,
stuff
Burt
they
and
did.
Dom. I mean,
Burt and Dom.
Shit. And they come up with stuff that's a hell of a lot better than in a script. I mean, majority of the time.
No question about it. You figure Dean and Sammy had routines they worked out years ago.
Yeah, right.
One day I was in the schoolyard. 9 guys were beating me up pretty good. There he was. Dun, dun, dun.
See, he's telling how chaos became chaos. And when you listen to him, you can visualize and actually see because he believes it himself.
Oh,
you know.
But the other nice thing that happens here, and Burt does it well too, when they're not, I mean, there's a very sweet side to these guys that's vulnerable. You actually feel, you like Dom. You understand he was nobody until chaos showed up. And how it gave him another alter ego. But it was a very sweet scene, actually.
Yeah, and she was very receptive to the scene and understood all of it. And again, we shot this poor man process in the basement of the garage.
Basement with the hose, yeah.
Yeah, with the hose going over the windshield.
And you couldn't do it any better.
No.
Look at these close shots. Oh, this is going to be the launch? I'm going to tell them the story about Bill with his hydrogen rocket when we see this. Burning the studio down.
墨西哥，你睇下，你嘅眼鬼突咗咋？叫墨西哥，Texas，stupid。
Oh, this is, you know who, the
Yeah.
cop, right?
Yeah.
I'll take care of this one.
This was the payoff to this whole game.
Yeah.
It was Now again, this is another star who came by for one day's work.
For this.
Yeah,
For this
came
one
by
piece.
for the one gag, yeah.
Now, she was a friend of my wife's, but I didn't know her before this here. And she was so concerned about coming out on the set and things and whatever for the one little shtick that she did. But
I think she was a star. She had done Lenny, you know, with Dustin. It was a major star in those days.
now, here's where if I'm not mistaken, this is where we put our rocket car to use. Our rocket on the back of the police car.
Oh, to spin it around.
Yeah.
Like in your movies.
Yeah, they're going to put out a little smoke screen. Then oil slick, I believe.
And you wonder why Broccoli was unhappy.
And there's the oil slick. Look at that car. Can you believe that thing?
And the guys get out at the end, because you always did that.
Yeah, but you know something? This guy, when he got out, he said, Jesus
Never again.
Christ. let me give me a few minutes. Let
He
me
was this-
unwind the world.
I see where you're going.
Perfectly.
This is ridiculous.
It's good sport, isn't it, Ed? Would you mind rolling the window down, old girl? We're getting done up like a couple of kibblers here.
Next time I bring my mask.
Roger, again, can take a scene like this and make a bunch out of it when there's really not a hell of a lot
You know why?
going
Because
on.
he can play. Roger plays against it a lot,
Yeah,
which is hysterical.
He's playing James Bond,
Yeah,
you know,
he's just
but yeah.
upper class Englishman.
Behind the green door. Well, we went as far as we could with that cut.
On the frame.
Without getting in the...
I actually forgot that. That was hysterical.
Yeah.
And hearing the scream in Chinese is outrageous. We didn't put the subtitles in on that.
I've never seen a damn Rolls Royce that do 140 miles an hour.
What do you fellas got in that thing?
See the cop here on the left, the highway patrolman, and well, both the highway patrolmen are
You see the hair?
buddies of
Look at
mine.
that- look at the hair on that cop.
What?
You want to talk about things you get away with? Look at that. Look at
Because they're announcers for television for the auto racing, and they're buddies of mine, so I put them in there.
No, but look.
And I know when they said we can't cut our hair for one scene, I said, all right, so don't cut
Leave
it.
it.
Who gives a damn, you know?
This is Nevada at this point.
Yeah, right.
It can be any kind of cop now. It doesn't matter.
This is for you and the judge.
Goddamn camel jockey.
Oh, shit. We got a Smokey on our tail.
Remember that kid? He was funny. It was Alfie Wise. I forget that kid's name.
Officer, we got no brakes. No brakes. Help us. Yes, thank you.
Damn no brake gag works every time.
Oh, no. We really don't have any brakes.
Kid, will ya?
Hang on.
We tore up a lot of cars, you know that?
That was a damn good stunt too. I was nervous that day, boy. The train was going by one way, and you like just bring that damn thing down, man. Smoke it.
It's got to be exact.
Right on the moment.
You know what? I forgot what our there's our Wheelie King. I forgot what our stunt budget was on here, but it had to be
It was
sizable.
substantial.
Huh?
Substantial, it was.
Yeah.
But you know, I was telling the guys that even with Burt thrown in, it's still relatively a modest budget movie for those days.
Yeah.
I think it was, what, $16 million. With Burt getting $5.
Well, I thought it was a little more than that, but somewhere in that neighborhood. And considering what all we got, I mean...
Hal, you shot the movie in 35, 36 days.
Yeah.
Bottom line. I think this is where they do the rocket.
Yeah. Yeah. This is where they do the rocket.
This little Subaru four-wheel drive they gave us.
Again, we put our rocket genius into this. By the way, the rocket genius is a guy named Bill Frederick who built a hydrogen peroxide rockets. And Ruddy and I were doing a film with him, and he had these little small rockets that we were going to mount on these motorcycles and things. So he brought over the studio to show us how it would work. And I told him, I said, I just fired into the side of the soundstage there. He did.
Well, first of all, the security guy took us to the back of the lot.
Right.
And this guy's got one of these hydrogen rockets. You're kind of looking at it now. And he gave us both earmuffs. And he went, 1, 2, and hit this button. And this thing took off. We didn't even see it. I didn't know where the hell it went. I said, God, that's fantastic. Now we start looking for this rocket across the studio. And as we drive up to stage 10, in the middle of the 0 is a hole. They were shooting Pennies from Heaven with Steve Martin. I figured someone got killed for sure. We ran in the stage, and no one was in it. We looked around. We didn't see anything, so we went back. We were relieved for about an hour until we started hearing helicopters and fire engines coming into the studio.
I looked out the window, and I said, damn, Ruddy. I said, those engines are going back to where we were working. Well, what happened was the damn rocket went into the soundstage and through the wall, got hung in the middle, and was still burning, set the damn soundstage on fire.
Burned the soundstage out. It got stuck in the netting and the padding.
Yeah.
And we sat there as the guy was calling us up. What happened for the month after that? Every time we came on the lot or left, he insisted on looking at our truck.
Wouldn't know what we was carrying on the lot.
Thank God he had insurance. I think it was like an $80,000 bill or something.
I think so. Well, they took the whole side of the soundstage out. They had to
it was the newest soundstage on the lot. They had just redone it. So innovation can be costly at times.
Yeah, sure can.
You take a little advice?
Sure.
Bring friends.
I worked on many shows with Dean, and he would just read the pages once and just get the general idea of what he's supposed to do, and the rest of it, he just kind of ad-lib and swing with it as he went.
But he used to do that on his television show. That's what was so great about him. There was a naturalness and a charm to the guy.
Here's where we're out in the Mojave Desert, where I had 18, 20 motorhomes and all the trailers and things or whatever, and it was 110, 15 degrees, and we're doing a fight out in the middle of this desert with all these actors, you think, and all the stuntmen, you think it wasn't a mess?
You know, this is probably the first movie where I think the broad American audience saw Jackie Chan.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
no one ever saw this kind of thing. No. He had done some Chinese movies they were trying to get over here.
Yeah, but
no one ever was aware of Jackie till he did this movie. Well, here comes the Hells Angels.
Well, here comes another star that came in for 2 days or 3 days or whatever. Peter Fonda, I'm talking about, you know.
Oh, Peter, yeah.
Yeah, he came in and
and his
played the leader of the bike gang.
There you go.
There he is.
Fresh off Easy Rider.
Yeah.
Burt.
He was a friend of my cameraman, remember?
Michael Butler, yeah.
He was a friend of Butler's. They'd worked together. And Butler said he had asked Butler if we could put him in the movie.
Really?
If you can believe that. And so said, hell, tell him, yeah, we'll put him in.
Allow me to present myself. I'm on Wall Street. Maybe we can have lunch sometime. We don't ride in Wall Street.
Oh, what's the guy's name right there cutting the tie off? He was a stuntman, and he was an actor, and he worked with you on Longest Yard. And
Bob Tessier.
Tessier.
And he was one of the convicts in The Longest Yard.
Yeah, and he later
Yeah.
died of cancer, but he was such a bad looker and such a nice guy.
Yeah, marvelous.
I met him.
Yeah, him.
I met him as a stuntman.
Yeah, there's Peter. Must have gotten. We got nothing for Hoover. You see, he's wearing his shirt.
Yeah.
That we got no money from.
How do we do that?
We
let one get away, didn't we?
Well, shall we join breakfast?
Here's where you get to see Jackie Chan at his best.
See, Michael Hoy is the Chinese Charlie Chaplin. Look how clever he is.
Step back again. I must warn you. I'm Roger Moore. Roger Moore.
We'll run in there. Boom, 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 bam. Bam, bam. Knock them flat out. Then we go. We can still win. Okay? We can do that. We can do that. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I guess Captain Chaos was always in the original script. I'm trying to remember where that idea came from.
Oh yeah, he was in
Brock's script.
I don't remember who put it in, but it was always in there.
God, it was one of the funniest things in the movie. Because Dom's so outrageous.
Yeah. I mean, people don't realize it, but the scene they just saw there in that broken down service station, there's probably 15, 18 stunt guys in that one little piece.
And,
right
yeah,
there.
where the place goes.
The guys coming out the window and then dropping the roof on a whole.
But I think you did this whole scene in a day, didn't you?
No, I think it took a couple of days, Ruddy, if I remember correctly.
It's a big one.
All day. You wouldn't last 5 minutes in a New York subway. Now that's the way it's done.
Hey, what'd you drink? I don't know. I never tried it.
You know, if you stop and think who's the most outrageous character in this movie, you'd have to really think.
Yeah, you got to go away to find out.
But one of the lines I think they had in one of the posters was the popcorn's in the lobby, but the nuts are on the screen.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's true.
Everyone here is a freak. Farrah played an early Greens type ecology freak.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no one. I can't think of any straight character in the piece.
It wouldn't be Cannonball if it was straight.
No, there's no normal people.
But the road's open. Oh, thanks. Thunderbomb, the road's open.
Let's go! Hit it!
Oh, that was a mad rush.
He was quick, wasn't he?
Yeah. Especially with your stunt guys, you know?
Yeah.
Gentlemen, they do it in Hong Kong. They have their own guys. They
Yeah.
do the short and they react. This is amazing to consider. As they say in China, these are all round eyes he's working with, you know?
But and also the fact that my stunt guys are not necessarily karate.
Yeah, I know. It's a real talent doing the martial arts stuff.
He was able to
work with
them pretty good.
Yeah, they were pretty good too to be able to work with them, react like that.
Look at this guy. I remember this scene. A place out here in the California desert where there has this undulating road, and I went out there and picked it up because
That's a great shot.
Just what you're seeing right there.
That's a great
See him
shot.
ducking in and out. That's strange how you see a shot in your mind. And we drove a long ways to get that, but
it's worth it.
I thought it was worth it.
Oh,
you know?
worth it. Oh, it's great. Captain Chaos.
I'll tell you one thing we didn't have to cheat on here. That van would outrun anything out there, including the Ferrari.
Really?
Yeah.
Did that have heavy suspension too, this baby?
Oh, this is the one, yeah.
Oh, that's the original.
Yeah.
Where was it from when you ran it to this movie? Where'd you keep the van?
I put it in a garage.
Did you?
Yeah.
You didn't drive it after that, did you?
No. I didn't know what to do with it, but then when we decided to do a movie, I said, I know what to do with it. Put it in the movie.
What's the name of the place we ended up? The King's Corner or Neptune's? What's that restaurant?
The hotel restaurant we stopped at. I don't know, but it's the place where the race really ended.
Yeah.
And it's not in Long Beach. It's in Redondo.
Yeah, it's Redondo
Beach, and I
King's
forget the
Harbor
name.
or Neptune's, one of those names.
I don't know. Maybe we'll see it here in a minute. I forgot.
What if it's still there?
Yeah, it's there because I saw Brock just last week, and he was going to go down there and talk to some people that he
There's
knew.
a lady that owned it, remember? Who
Right.
was very
I don't
nice
remember
to
her
us.
name,
Yeah.
but there was a lady that owned it.
Oh, that's one of the great gags of the world. He thinks he's George Hamilton. That was a scream.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe this was the end of the movie where we shot this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
we did this.
We shot it right at the place where...
Yeah, this again, all the cast came back for the end.
Yeah.
The beginning and the end.
The beginning and the end is the only
They're all
place
here.
you get to see them all together. I got to tell you something. Most of those people in there were the actors going down in that pile.
Yeah.
All I gotta say, it's not a very sporting way to win. What do you say, Father?
Not a sporting way. That's a shitty way to win.
We're gonna win! Help! Help! Somebody save my baby! He's drowning!
That's my business manager. I put everybody in the movie.
I will save your baby! Have no fear!
Both of the bushes.
And loses the race.
He really got into this part, didn't he?
I saved that woman's dog.
Victor, we could have won that race. You understand what I'm telling you? We could have won it.
You understand that? You had to go and pull that stupid stunt.
He's right.
Now he's hurt.
Yeah.
We are sick of Captain Chaos. We are so
But
sick
again,
of
you
Captain Chaos.
loved all the people in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody.
Not gonna be any more Captain Chaos. Come on! You see what I'm telling you?
Okay.
No more Captain Chaos. What do you think of that?
It's slapstick, but to me it's funny.
I've always wanted to be Captain USA.
Captain USA.
See, it breaks up Burt. I mean, he can't help it. Yeah, nobody can.
No, they're all having a good time. Look at Dean on the left.
There's no put on there. They're all having a ball.
Who won the race? What do you get for last?
Well, how do you all feel now that you have...
You know what? You did something here, Ruddy, in the music at the end to give it that final end with that really up thing.
There was
Took all them kids and...
Yeah, we got that. You know, we wanted to get the Carpenters sing that, and it was too expensive for us. So we wrote this tune and got all the kids to sing it. We did this tune ourselves.
To me, it's perfect for it.
It's a beautiful.
I mean,
it's bright and happy.
Yeah. Oh, we got to have one more stunt before we leave this thing.
Mr. Point.
Oh, yeah. This is the payoff to the car.
Lighter, of course. That's odd. Not filming next year. We'll do this again.
Another bloopers are coming up, which I must say, no one had done before either.
You know something?
And a lot of people copied this later.
I know. Well, you know what? The bloopers and blunders and all that stuff on television is my creation, even though I don't get credit for it because I started doing it in film. But you know something? And I go to movies to watch my film and audiences that don't know I'm there. And when it don't say the end, it'll just go black for a beat, and then the credits start coming on. And you see people start getting up,
I know,
and other people will say, sit down, because they know all the bloopers are coming up. Like right here, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Dom DeLuise can't keep from laughing. Burt pulls his mustache, hits him in the nuts, and it
smacks him 2-3 times.
Yeah, watch it. It's funny as shit. I mean, and everybody's goofy now. He don't know whether to hold his mustache or his balls. He don't know where Burt's going to hit him. He pulls his mustache to try to get him. And look, there's Elam looking out the side there. And as I said, it's 4 o'clock in the goddamn morning. Look at Burt.
That's where he smacks him a couple
think
of
this
times.
ain't? Yeah.
Yeah, this was not designed as bloopers. This is from actually shooting.
Yeah. But when they screw up, they know it's going to be in the bloopers.
Where is it going to sit?
Oh, Ellie goes along with Dean where he gets the bleed to the nose.
Stephen, put that way. Seymour, excuse me.
Seymour Goldfarb.
Yeah.
You see, even in
Goldfarb, that was his name.
Yeah, Seymour Goldfarb.
Yeah.
Molly Pecan was the mother. She did all that Yiddish theater in New York, and this is his mother.
As you probably know, we're the favorites to be the winning.
You know what? It's kind of cheating because all the people over here on the left in the credits, nobody's looking at it. Nobody reads it. Of course, nobody reads credits anyway. I don't think.
No. The audience is out of the theater by now if you didn't have this. It's actually a way to guarantee whatever exposure they get at the end because the audience would be gone. They stayed for this.
People tell me that they love to see this because it lets them know how much fun we had making the movie, and therefore it lets them leave the theater with a more of a feeling of enjoyment, that they could see where the fun of the movie is.
Well, you also get a sense of the actors, the fact that by nature they were having a good time making it.
You know what we got to do? Got to do another Cannonball.
We're going to do it.
Okay.
Cannonball in Europe.
Is that a promise?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No.
I'm ready. I'll button my coat and I'm
This is
packed.
the bleeds.
Yeah.
No. You just shove those beads up your
These
nose.
bleeds.
Bleeds. And look, there you are walking by the camera laughing.
I tell you what, when your actors can't keep it straight, you know they're having fun. You know when they're all breaking up and everything. Like Burt can't hardly keep a straight face.
Look at Dean. Look at Dean on the left. He's cracking up.
Yeah.
Because it really was the last day of shooting.
Yeah.
It was like the end of a long road. It was fun.
He left first. Mr. Martin left first. I can't. I mean, why were you laughing? Well, because he laughed and you hit me.
There he is, the kid himself.
Okay.
I hope you enjoyed that classic film commentary. Sometimes you can see a film from a whole new perspective and appreciate the work that goes into the making of some of our favorite films. Now do me a huge favor. Help support the channel by subscribing, clicking on that like button. It goes a long way in keeping the channel active. Thanks for making it to the end of this video, and I hope to bring you back for another video soon. For now, Gator out. Watch for new movie reviews and documentary series. Don't forget to subscribe and click on that bell so you know when new reviews arrive.